guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. I got a bunch of stories I'll do all in one video for locals, and then for Rumble, I'll chop it up into the usual thing. Same thing for YouTube. If you're here on YouTube, it will be edited because YouTube hates me and they can suck it. First story I want to talk about today. The fastest way to lose her love, just marry her. I talk about this a lot, and I do stories about where women say, I loved him, but the butterflies are gone, the tingles are gone. I need something more. And this guy at the gym winked at me, and I think he wants to sleep with me, so I left my husband and my 3 kids. And am I the bad person? And oftentimes they also do the, I wish I had stayed. Well, this has come from Psychology Today. How sexual desire changes after marriage, and why less happiness is a bigger problem than less sex. Now, what's interesting, this is from January 30th, so just about a month ago. What's interesting about this is they've done some studies, and over time, it's women, actually, that become unhappy with the bedroom. They become less interested in their partner, and there may be actually some biological drive that tells the woman, hey, you probably should, for the diversity of the genes, maybe it's okay if you go out and step out a lot. And so in long-term marriages, they find that men are not the ones usually, we're talking about the bell curve here, they're usually not the ones that get unhappy. So they say 2 longitudinal studies reveal an emerging mismatch in desire over the early years of marriage. 5 years into the marriage, the average husband's desires are unchanged for his wife, but the average wife's have decreased. Now, I know many of you will say, well, I am shocked.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
But the jokes of after a man says, I do, she no longer says, I do, or he says, I do, and then she says, I don't anymore. This is true. And again, studies have proven this. Is why I say, can you imagine promising your life, half your bank account, your future happiness on a partner that likely is not going to have the same drive or desire for you over time, where men usually do? They say knowing that this is common pattern might help couples refrain from blaming themselves and each other for fearing their marriage has problems. Hey, let's rephrase that. This will let guys know that if they want to blame why the bedroom isn't as good, they can blame their wives. That's the way I look at it. They say many a movie, novel, or opera ends with a loving couple getting married. If it is a modern work, the implicit happily ever after includes plenty of sex. Yet for years, the data have shown a gradual decline in frequency during marriage of the in and out. Folklore offered the bottle theory of marriage. By that theory, the couple puts in a penny in a bottle every time they have sex during the first year of marriage, and then removes a penny every time they have sex after their first anniversary. The bottle will never be empty. The data suggests the decline is not quite that severe, but it is unmistakable. Yet why? We tracked newlywed couples over the early years of their marriages. Every 6 months or so, they answered questionnaires about their desires, their marital satisfaction, and other factors. No 2 couples are exactly alike, of course, but the general pattern was clear from both studies. Over the first 4 or 5 years of marriage, the wife's sexual desires declined steadily, while the husband's showed no change. The same pattern was found for the questions that asked about desire, specifically for sex with one spouse and with sex for anybody in general. 5 years into the marriage, the average husband's desire is the same as when he walked down the aisle, but his wife's desire has dwindled. This is important to know because when I was younger, they didn't have the internet back when I was 28, or at least not nearly to the degree, because that was 20 years ago. So that would have been, 2002? The internet existed, but it wasn't nearly what it is today, where you have most publications, articles, videos, all this commentary out there. So a lot of this was unknown to guys that are my age and the younger subset. But the jokes still permeated the culture that women, after the first couple of years, it's definitely the guys always want it more and the women want it less. And here's what's important. Most of the time when guys get married, men may get married because they do want a partner, like a wife. Men get married maybe because they want kids. But there's also a really big drive for men because they say, wow, I really like this person. The bedroom is great. And if we get married, she'll sleep next to me every night and I'll have access to all all the enjoyment of her body. And, oh, this is so awesome. And then you get married, and over the years it dwindles. And I found this to be true in my case, as well as most of the stories I hear you guys say and talk about, where you say, dude, like if you want to guarantee you don't get any action, get married. Because then you're trapped. Then if you want it and she doesn't, you don't get any. And you certainly can't go out and get any on the side, at least without the risk of losing half your income. It's literally a trap. And you can say, well, some women do it on purpose. Other women, they just lose their desire. But either way, the guy loses, and that's the important fact. They say, what's more, we found that marital satisfaction for both husband and wife deteriorated in step with the wife's loss of desire. The husband's desire was irrelevant to anybody's marital happiness. That's surprising, isn't it? Might wives lose desire based on or because the marriage is turning bad? No. Time lag analysis indicated that her loss of desire came first, leading to lower satisfaction later. Early levels of dissatisfaction did not predict how rapidly the wives lost interest in the bedroom. And this is interesting, and this is important as well, because here's the deal. What happens? The guy desires his wife. She gives it up less and less and less. So his satisfaction with her, his satisfaction with the relationship, his satisfaction with the marriage tapers off. In the same time, she doesn't desire him as much. She wants to sleep with him less. And his insistence of sleeping together can actually turn her off. He becomes a pest or a bother, and she's not attracted to him anymore, which also leads to the decline. And what happens? Both partners fall off the cliff, but it doesn't start until she starts losing her desire. Now, you'll hear a lot of dating coaches and marriage coaches and everything else saying, oh, make sure you keep dating her, guys, just like as if you were first dating. Make sure to take her out to dinner and make sure to wine and dine her and jump through all these hoops to make sure she's happy. And a lot of guys do, again, myself included. But that will never re-spark the desire for somebody. And here's why. Because it's a sunk cost that you can never recover. This is always an example I use, but it still holds true today. Imagine taking a woman out to a cup of coffee, okay? Well, the cup of coffee's been established. It's new and it's exciting because it's your first date, or maybe you go out for drinks. First date, very exciting, very interesting. But what if you went out for coffee every week? It becomes normal. It doesn't become special. It becomes kind of boring. So what do you have to do? Take her out to dinner. And you take her out to dinner to her favorite restaurant. She loves this restaurant. So you take her there once a week. Well, we've been here many times. It is boring. It is. We've done this before. We need new. So you take her out to different restaurants and more interesting places. You take her on vacation. You do this. Before you know it, it's kind of been there, done that with everything with you. And now the excitement wears off. It becomes routine. And you can never keep reestablishing that new and exciting. You know, eventually you've hit all the positions you want to in bed. You've done everything, and she becomes bored. And I don't know why, but it is a thing. Women just really desire the new, the challenging, the dramatic, the interesting. And you can't always, as a guy, you just can't always provide that. They say, crucially, it was not due to having kids. Becoming parents made the mismatch worse, as in steeper declines in wives' desire in one study, but not in the other. Becoming a father significantly increased the man's desire. Nor was it due to stress or depression, although those may have had contributing factors to the part of the problem in some cases. Folklore's bottle theory aside, early signs of this pattern have been noticed. Bettina Ardent, an Australian journalist, had an idea for a racy bestseller, which was to have couples keep diaries of their bedroom lives. Her book, The Sex Diaries, did report some lively and creative practices, but the more common theme was that of the husbands begging for sex while the wives refused. Pillow talk filled with memorable phrases like, "Get that thing away from me," Ardent continued, ruefully, that sometimes seemed to cause women to go off the bedroom once they settled into a committed relationship. Again, they literally become adverse to it. Now, there are things like, once you have kids, being a mom, you're taking care of the kids a lot, guys working probably more to provide for the family. That could lead to less time alone or less desire. But again, they say the men became more interested in it when the women became less interested in it, even after having kids. A possible explanation that this fits our data is that female desire increases during the brief phase of passionate love. Nature may have arranged that as a way to encouraging the man to make a long-term commitment. Humans evolved from other great apes, but none of the other apes take fatherhood seriously, let alone provide daily food and shelter for their children's mothers over many years. Human men are remarkably different in that regard, and evolution has to arrange some serious changes to bring that about. Men's desire may have taken on addictive character so that men become attached and keep hoping for sex even when the yield of pleasure dwindles, as in some addictions. Meanwhile, nature arranged for women's desires to increase temporarily during courtship. The couples in which the women's desire boosted enough to get the man hooked produced more children than others. We are descended from them. In this view, then, it's not that marriage is bad for women's desire. Rather, the phase of passionate love boosts it, and when that kind of love wears off, desire goes back to baseline. Now, this is important because if you look at society today, like they're talking about here, apes in general do not do what humans do, which is stick around and provide for the female mate. So men traditionally have said, oh, you know what? This is a good deal. I'm really attracted to her. She's giving me access to the fun. We'll procreate and I'll protect the family, but that means I also still want access to the bedroom. Well, that was maybe the way that nature made sure that the women were taken care of. But now that's ending because let's be honest with it. There's child support. You've now got government and government assistance coming in and taking the role of provider away from men. On top of that, there's no shame for being a single mom anymore. And then in addition to that, you've got women that if they do have a guy for a little bit of time, their desire for him dwindles. And since she can now provide for her kids thanks to the government or child support, she can leave him to go out and chase the butterflies and the tingles and the romance and the desire, and there's no shame in it. So now because of modern day, I guess you could say government assistance and programs and society, it's not shamed for women once they lose the tingles and maybe they have the kid with the one guy, they go out and look at others and they go out and look for others. They say the seeds of later dissatisfaction are sown by the nature's method of keeping couples together long enough to provide care for the children that sex will bring. The young man thinks he has found the sexual soulmate. Any reservations about the woman or about his need to provide for her seem minor compared to the prospect of enjoying this great intimacy every day for the rest of his life. When she stops wanting to have it with him, he may think she has changed unfairly. After all, his desires is the same as it always was. Meanwhile, the woman may be as surprised as her husband by her loss of desire. During the year or two of intense passion, she desired sex as much as he did, or almost. Crucially, she never agreed to have sex when she didn't feel like it. When her desire wanes, she may think he is the unfair one because he is wanting her to offer him intimacy even when she is not in the mood. He didn't ask for that back during the passionate courtship. Of course, admittedly, he didn't need to. It may be tough for her to deal with the unexpected problem of her lack of desire, his continued desire, and the sense that the quality of the marriage is suddenly going down. She may or may not like the connection between her loss of passion and the mutual sense that neither is as satisfied with the marriage as previously. After all, that only emerged from our large data set. They say declining happiness in marriage is a serious problem. I suspect because it's when the wife starts to lose desire, both parties think it indicates a problem with their marriage, and they blame themselves or each other. Psychology could strengthen marriages if it could help people realize that this is a common pattern. Rather than being a sign of the marriage has problems, they might see it as a standard problem that they can solve as a couple. But here's the challenge with that. Most people today don't want to solve the problem. We are in the fast food industry when it comes to dating. We are in the, I want it now, I want to do it now, I want to do it as often as possible. I want to do it with a guy that really turns me on, and he excites me, and I'm really into him. And there's actually a graphic here I'm looking for that I want to bring up. Here it is. So what happens is that women start chasing their desires. This is somebody that put this together from their own personal swipes on a dating profile. They put together a dating profile and they just started swiping. And this is interesting. All these photos are from, I think the oldest is 30 and the youngest is something like 19 or 20. And every one of them is a woman with her kid or kids. And they're all in the profiles here, all of them. And when you're on a dating site, and this is now the new normal, what does this tell us? Tell us. It says if the woman is disinterested in you, that's psychology. It may not have anything to do with you. But it also tells you if you get married with the hopes of having a strong partner that will always desire you and always be there for you, that's likely not going to be the case. It can sometimes happen, but not always. Also, it tells you that women have no problems when they get bored with a guy. When he's not now turning her on, she thinks it's his fault, that he's now not attractive to her. He's not providing the tingles. He's not exciting her. And again, with all the assistance to help her raise the kids by herself because of modern society, she doesn't need the protector. She doesn't need the provider because the government takes that role. Maybe the child support takes that role, and there's no shame in it. As a matter of fact, she's cheered on to go out and start chasing the good-looking guys and make sure she gets a man that she deserves. And the guys that she gets the tingles for and is really exciting for, those bad boys that are, so hot and desirable, when she actually lands him, given time, she more than likely will find him boring. And so she continues on looking for somebody else. It's the fast food of dating. Everybody wants instant gratification, whether it's on a phone, whether it's from food, whether it's from the internet, whether it's you're bored and you just want to be able to open up a web page and watch a movie. You can have everything today instantly. And so there is no more waiting, trying to make things work, maybe taking one for the team, so to speak, to make sure he's happy. It doesn't happen anymore. This is why when you make that arrangement of getting serious with a woman, you're likely to lose in the long run. And if you've tied the knot, you're probably going to lose half of your material and have to pay child support on top of that for something that is more and more likely bound to fail. Let's be honest with it. Guys, over the next couple of days, I'm going to be releasing a video or two a day, but I'm going to be driving to Tennessee to close on my land and check it out and meet with some builders to get some stuff done on it. So I'll probably be doing a couple of videos from the road. As always, my audio and video will suck a little bit worse, but I'll try to find some fun topics to talk about as I do the drive. So I'll still be putting out content. Just the thumbnail and everything may look not quite as nice because, again, I'll be on the road and doing everything off of a phone more than likely. So make sure to check those out as well. If you're here on YouTube, I'm going to do the dating profiles of the day over on Rumble or Locals because YouTube sucks, and that's just the way it is.